Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be a little bit different. We're going to be doing a talk with you guys. I want to be talking, not talk with you guys, but I'm going to be talking about what it means to be a black female therapist, a black woman who's a mental health provider, and my journey as far as therapy goes and the experience I've had being a therapist. So I got my bachelor's in psychology. After that, I decided, okay, I'm liking this whole the mind thing and trying to figure out why people do what they do and why people behave the way they behave. So I'm going to go get my master's in counseling. So I got a master's degree in mental health counseling. And then after that, I worked as a foster care therapist for a year. And that was my first real job in the field. Before that, I had interned with a boys group home. I interned at the psych hospital here in Nashville, Tennessee, and I interned at a private practice. Being a woman, that's a minority already in my mind. Being a black woman is number two, and being young with no kids is number three. So I go into these homes, I go into these schools, and I tell them, hey, I'm here for such and such. I'm their therapist. I'm going to be the therapist, yada, yada, yada. Or I go into court and people are looking around for the parent and they think I'm the parent. And I'm like, this kid is like 16. Why would you think I'm the mom? So there's been a lot of instances where I've had to correct and check folks that are my colleagues or other people in the field who have an idea of what a therapist is supposed to look like. So you get this brown-skinned girl named Amatullah Majid. You may see her name on paper somewhere, and she walks in and she's black. Then I get the question of, where are you from? And I'm like, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Oh, where are your people from? African American. In fact, especially my daddy. That's enough. So I'm like, they're black people. They're regular old African American people. I don't know why you asking me, what are they? There's been a lot of things that I've noticed being African American and being in the field of therapy and working with the population that I work with, which is typically low income to middle income, minorities. A lot of them are white, but a lot of minority clients who, when they see me, it's almost like we both have this big like sigh of relief, like someone who, you know what I mean, someone who looks like me, somebody who understands me, somebody who may have been through some things I have been through or seen some things I have seen, who gets when my mom tells me to sit down or she gonna slap the black off me, it's not a DCS reportable call. Things like that. You know how black mamas talk. So they feel a level of comfort with me because I'm black. So I get a lot of kind of pushback sometimes with parents saying, well, you don't have kids, you don't have a kid with ADHD, you don't have a kid with ODD, you don't have a kid with MDD. You can't tell me how to parent this child. I'm with this child every day, all day long. You come in a few times a week and see them and yada, yada, yada. Which I get, it is understandable. But whatever you've been doing, it ain't working. So you either can try what I'm saying or we can continue on this path of destruction and getting nowhere because you don't listen to someone who doesn't have children. I mean, a 10-year-old can have a baby nowadays. So that doesn't mean that 10-year-old is going to know how to be a mother or know how to be a father. So therapy is becoming more of a thing where people are accepting, but I still see a lot of people who don't accept therapy or don't think that therapy is the way to go, especially for the African American community. My experience with being a therapist, most of my colleagues, more than half of them have not been black. So most of the time when I'm presenting about a case or I'm talking about a client and I say, you know, that this is average, this is normal behavior in this home because of their ethnicity, and they ask me why do I say that, it's evident that they don't understand multicultural awareness. They don't have any type of multicultural awareness or experience in a black home. You can say you have black friends all day long, blah, blah, blah. You raised around black people, you went to a mixed school, yada, yada. But certain things that black people do in their households, it's just like an unspoken rule or unspoken acknowledgement that this is how we are. And it may not always necessarily be something positive necessarily, but it's something that we as black people get. And I think a lot of times Caucasian therapists are afraid or nervous about confronting black parents about certain things, so they resort to, I want to report this because I don't really want to ask his mom what's really going on. Versus me, when I call CPS on people, I call with them sitting right here. No question about what's going on. Because to me, it's deceiving for you to do that to a person and then continue to go to their home and act like you don't even know. You don't know what happened. That doesn't build a good rapport. So building a relationship is the foundation with therapy. Because I really honestly think that black women are magical and we can do everything. What'd you say? I thought I heard somebody say something. Like a unicorn. There's really not a lot of black mental health providers out here. Not where I live. Not in my agency. So I think that helps them feel comfortable, and it helps them feel like they're not going to be judged. They're not going to be looked down on, because a lot of people, they don't realize that they're saying things that are judgy to these families. But sometimes when I hear what they say they've told families, I'm like, and I think in a professional field, because you are a professional, other people who are not black say certain things because they don't think you're going to respond or say anything back to them because of the arena you're in. So if we're talking about a client, if we're talking about things, I've had people say, oh, you know how they do. And I think they forget we're black first. I'm a black woman before I'm anything else, right? Being a therapist is what I do. That's not my identity, honey. So when you talk about people in the field of mental health and you start to see a little bit more diversity in the room, it makes you feel good, because it's just like, what up, bruh? See another black therapist, I'm like, you're my person. Because we don't get to see each other that often. So when we do, it's almost like, yeah, man, we gotta stick together. We gotta stick together. So with all the things that are going on today in society and just life in general, I think counseling and therapy and just having those basic foundational skills on how to cope with things, because things come up, things happen, trauma happens, and not be so, I'm in this professional field, so I have to be this certain way, and they're not going to respect me if I am not showing that I have authority over these people. You don't have authority over nothing. You know what I'm saying? You have authority over yourself. They have authority over their own lives. So you have to be respectful to these clients. You have to show empathy. You have to be able to relate, and you have to be able to be consistent with what you do and what you say. All these things are characteristics of what I think to be a good therapist. Because if you are not consistent with these families are flaky, right? They cancel willy-nilly, they whatever, and I'll be like, honey, we cannot have these problems. We cannot continue to cancel like this, because your child needs help. Because we have a lot of parents who don't want to listen to a therapist at all, and they definitely don't want to listen to a black woman as a therapist. And I see it. They say stuff that they think is subtle, but I pick up on it and I peep it. But when their kid is in crisis, who are they calling? me. Respect us and actually listen to us, because we have valid things to say, just like a white therapist, if not more things to say. Again, I'm not trying to make it seem like we're better. But, you know, I think that black women who are therapists, or black women who are social workers, or black women who are psychiatrists and psychologists and psych nurse pracs, I think we all have something different about us. It's something about us that is different, that makes the results of those clients more successful to me than anybody else. And I'm not taking away from them, but it's just something about us that we just get. We just have that, what my dance director used to say, that factor. Like, you got to give it that when you dance, right? If you don't have that that little, it's that little sparkle. It's a little, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's something in this, okay, that makes us just fire. Okay, so those are the things that I feel like set us apart. That's the thing that I love about being a therapist, is having that it factor and being able to relate and get through to these people that look like me, who this may be their first real experience with therapy. This may be their 10th experience with therapy, right? And so you are able to have an impact on those lives. And I measure that by the contacts that I have with families who I've had maybe years ago, who still, when they see me out places, or they shoot me a text, or they shoot me a call and say, I was just checking in, I just wanted to let you know such and such graduated, I just wanted to let you know this, it makes me feel like, they listened to something I said, they remember something I said, right? And it makes me feel good to hear that these kids are doing better, or when a kid comes back, like, we want her again, so being a black therapist is definitely like being a therapist in a unicorn costume all the time, because when they see us, it's just different. There's no way to really explain it. It is just different, honey, and I'm here to sip the tea. Okay? And let y'all know, black therapists is where it's at. Black therapists matter. We need more of us. We need more black men in the field of psychology. We need more black people in the field of mental health, awareness side, provider side, advocacy side, all of it. We need to have more of us in the mix, because we are servicing our own people, but none of these people get to see us when they're getting these services, when they're meeting their services needs. They're not really seeing us as much as they need to. And so, but when they do, it's like, because they don't see us. Encourage your children to go into the social services fields, please. Encourage them to go into psychology, sociology, social work, all those fields, because we need us to be there for us. We understand us, we relate to us, and we need to be able to see our faces when we walk into these clinics. We need to represent ourselves so we can represent for these children. From your favorite therapist chair. Nice chit-chatting with you. If you have any questions, comments, put them in the description box below. Let me know what you think about mental health therapists or black therapists, or if you are a black therapist, holla at your girl. Let's link up. Let's do some things. And I will see you guys in my next one. Peace.